Hey there, I'm Genny Perez. I'm a wife, mom, and small business owner. And although I love being all of those things, I'm at the point where I feel like there's something more to life outside of those roles. Does that sound like you? If you're in search of that extra magic, craving a dose of positivity, purpose, and real talk on being worthy, capable, and able, you're in the right place. Let's kick off this journey together, ignite that spark, radiate some positivity, and discover what makes your life and business truly shine. Ready to jump in? Let's spark some radiance together. Welcome back to the Sparking Radiance podcast. I'm Genny Perez. Can I just say that I have a huge smile on my face right now, and I'm just so happy that you're here joining me. I hope this makes you smile too. Let me know where you're listening from. I like to listen to my podcast in the car. Send me a message on sparking.radiance at Instagram where you are listening from. I'm curious to know. All right, so let's get started. So I ran across an article a few weeks back written in Forbes magazine by Rhett Power, who's a contributor, CEO, head coach, things like that, author. And the title of the article was How to Resist Hustle Culture and Be More Productive. And it piqued my interest. And the reason why is because what I heard was hustle culture and resist. So resist hustle culture and be more productive. Like, isn't that counter? And hustle culture is also known as the doing culture, the grind culture. So how is resisting it more productive? So let's read a little piece of the article. To just kind of get an idea of what they're saying here. So the article says, long hours, little sleep, and loads of caffeine. These are the key ingredients to success in many people's eyes. We tell ourselves that the more we work, the more we get done, and the more successful we become. This belief system is perhaps best summed up by the term hustle culture, which has come to permeate nearly every aspect of our society, from the way we work to the way we approach hobbies. Hustle culture rewards hard work and constant busyness as a critical to career growth and overall self-worth. But it's worth interrogating whether this approach produces the outcomes it claims to. The past several years have been characterized by ongoing reports of burnout and widespread cultural pushback to what many see as an overemphasis on productivity. Americans now work fewer hours than they did pre-pandemic, and many say they value work-life balance differently. Trends like quiet quitting and lazy girl jobs represent this shift, away from maximizing one's productivity in favor of prioritizing better boundaries. The article then goes on to say that many are realizing that relentless hustle isn't the only path to success. Long-term success requires a holistic approach, encompassing not just work, but also personal well-being. With that said, I titled this podcast episode Winning is because I feel that, yes, I agree, there is a shift for us to realize, or we are realizing that part of winning is not just in financial or accolades, or there's not one point of winning. There's one version of winning per se. So we're going to get a little bit visual this episode, and I need you to stay with me, okay? So the way I see winning is I see that in order to create a space of personal well-being to kind of mirror that, or to counter the hustle culture, I believe that there are five pillars, strong pillars in our life where we would want to focus on winning. Okay. So stay with me. So I want you to think of a pentagon. So just remember, going back to basic geometry, a pentagon has 4 sides. Stop. So going back to basic geometry, a pentagon has 5 sides. So I want you to visualize the actual shape of a pentagon with its 5 sides. Each of those sides represent a pillar of who you are as a person, okay? So stay with me. So we have our 5 touching points, or our 5 sides, and think of our pentagon as kind of our steering wheel. And we have both of our hands on a side, okay? So on the very top of a pentagon, you'll have like a triangle shape. Let's put our hands there, and that's the driving wheel. And inside the pentagon, our pentagon is filled with sand, okay? So we have a pentagon and it's filled with sand. Now that sand is not 100% full, but there is sand in there, okay? So let's talk about what the 5 pillars in our pentagon represent who we are and our well-being, okay? So number 1 is our spiritual self, okay? And when I talk about spiritual self, I'm talking about our connection to something greater than ourselves, our sense of meaning and our sense of purpose in life, okay? Our second pillar or second point is our mental self. And that is who our inner self is. And it refers to our health emotionally, psychologically, our inner being. Our third pillar point on the pentagon is our relational self. So our connection to others, or our connection to the things around us, our relational self. Fourth is our physical health self, our actual physical body. That is our 4th pillar. And our 5th pillar is our transactional self, right? I see this as the what I do. So maybe it could be my business or my career, the work that we do. That's our transactional self. All right, so thanks for staying along with that visualization. So we have our pentagon, we have our 5 pillars or 5 points, and we have our sand inside our pentagon. And the reason I put sand in there is because the sand, the sand represents our efforts and our energy that are poured into each of these 5 points. And the reason why it's not 100% full is because we can never be 100% in all of those 5 pillars. Okay. So let's just say it's 75% full. Okay. So leaving room. So if we were to visualize that pentagon, if we were 75% full, there's going to be a point that doesn't have sand in it. There's going to be an area in our life that doesn't have sand in it. And we can never be 100%. We all have 24 hours in one day, and we cannot all be on. It's just the way we're designed. We need rest. We need sleep. We need to eat. We need to focus on other things, right? So I say 75% full because it's going to give you the example of I cannot be 100% at all times in all of these 5 areas in my life. And the reason why I wanted to highlight that is because I think this hustle culture, this grind culture is always, and this winning culture is about focusing about always being on. It's not possible. It ultimately will lead to burnout. And if I were to take those 5 pillars, and I were to have my hands on that steering wheel, and the way I see it is this grind and hustle culture is that I'm just spinning my wheels. And what eventually happens is that sand begins to leak out. My wheel itself begins to get tired. My hands get tired from spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And this might also be sometimes seen as spinning on, the rat race or spinning on a hamster wheel. Think of that as well. So I wanted to bring this up because I want to show that there is a counter to that you will never be 100%. You will never be 100% in all areas of your life. And I think that hustle culture is training us to think that we have to be. And I'm telling you now that you do not have to be. And here's why you do not want to be 100% in every single area of your life. So what can we do? So why I titled this episode Winning is because I think if we go in knowing that we are not going to be 100% in everything, winning is, I want to focus on what I'm winning in. What at the end of the day, what area of those 5 points did I win in? Okay. Because I'm not going to win in everything. There's going to be days where I'm going to fail in my relational, as a mother, as a wife. Maybe work caused me to stay a little bit later and I wasn't able to spend as much time with my family, or physically, the physical side of myself, I wasn't able to get in a workout. The mental side of me is I didn't take time to read. The spiritual side, I forgot to pray. I started praying at night and I fell asleep. That's happened to me. And I know I'm not the only one. On my transactional side is I didn't hit a sales goal, right? Or I lost a sale, or I wasn't able to make the team meeting, whatever it may be, or finish that project. But having the understanding of, at the end of the day, reflecting on what did I win at? And if I focus my wheel on what I win at, I can then shift all of that sand into the area that's winning. Now, if we do a shift with our pentagon, just like a steering wheel, if we were to turn that, let's just say to the right, what would happen to that sand? Well, guess what? That sand is going to pour into another pillar. If I shift it, it's going to shift into another pillar. So for example, if the only energy that I have in the day is to focus on my physical health, I'm going to spend an hour walking. I am going to go to the gym. I am going to, on my physical health side, I'm going to be able to cook myself a homemade meal. If that's the only win that I can carry, I'm going to highlight and I'm going to focus on that win. Because what will happen inevitably, if I focus on the win of the day, inevitably my subconscious is going to want to focus on other things. My sand is going to carry over into the other areas of my life. Now let's see the reason why I want to look at the win and not the loss of the day, right? The loss of the day to kind of counter my physical is maybe I didn't do anything physical. I sat in my desk all day. If I focused on the negative, right? If I ended the day focusing on the negative, then what would happen is my will would remain the same. Okay. My pentagon, the pillars do not change. And actually, there would be no sand to carry over into another. But if I focus on my win, it will carry over inevitably into another area of my life. I say this, guys, because every day we are not going to win every day. It's just nearly impossible. We are all going to fall short. I fall short all the time. Sadly to say, sometimes as a mother, like when my child asks me to stay home and I can't, I feel like I fall short. However, if I go to the office and I want to focus on my transactional, I can win at the fact that I can control. I'm going to come, do what I have to do, focus on my work so I can get out of here early to guess what? Then I can take that energy and then I can focus. If I win at the office, if I win transactionally, I will carry that win over and that positively over to when I get home, I'm spilling into my relational connection with my child, right? So again, focusing on what we are winning at will allow for us to then carry over into, if I can win in this, then I can continue to win in other areas or in those other 5 pillars. If I focus on the negative of what I've lost in, there's no movement. if anything, in my opinion, it actually depletes. It lets out some of the sand. The sand will come out. We're letting the sand out. And what will eventually happen is if we focus on the losses, we're actually going to lose too much sand, and there's no recovering at some point where our sand is not going to have any movement because that sand is coming out. And if I focus on the areas where I fall short, it has a different effect. It has with me constantly focusing on where I fall short and where I have faults, I create this space of where I start to negatively talk to myself and diminish my self-worth. And what that will do is that'll cause me to feel inadequate in other areas. So it does the reverse. So when we're feeling positive and when we're winning and we're focusing on the winning, well, guess what? The winning will pour into the next pillar or point. But it has the same effect if we're focusing on the negative. If we focus on the negative, then that negativity, in that sense of inadequacy, flows into the next pillar or the next point. Focusing on the negative or our losses also creates stress and anxiety. It, just the perception of I'm possibly could fail. For some of us just creates this stress and this anxiety, and what that will lead to is that's going to lead to inaction. So us focusing on the loss, focusing on the negativity, focusing on our flaws, where we fell short, in some cases causes us to create like a paralyzed feeling, right? Like a feel of failure or just preventing you to take action. And I'll give you a perfect example, or something that can be applied. I know I've seen this in myself, but like sometimes if I think of like the time, where you walk into your living room or bedroom or even kitchen, right? I know for me, for example, walking into my bedroom and it needing to be organized, right? But if my vision was looking at this, or actually, we can also use a garage. For me, that's a hurdle. The garage is like the place I can never keep up, but because there's always something going in and out of there. But if going back to the garage, if I focus on the garage and I'm looking at all of the things, the negative things in there, like and I tell myself, how am I going to get this done? Like, it, in a lot of cases, it just creates this inaction in me. It's just this overwhelming feeling, this stress and anxiety, this negative talk of like, how am I going to get it done? But when I start to organize, right? When I start to see a little bit of movement, when I focus on the win of like deciding we can donate this, we don't need this, let's put this box in this place, what that will create, that winning sensation, that feeling, gives me the action and helps me continue to carry forward. So does that make sense? I know it's a little bit all over the place, but it's kind of like if we focus on the negative at sometimes, it could just paralyze us. If we focus on the positive, if we focus on the win, it actually gives us the opposite. It gives us the momentum to continue to go and to continue to tackle more. So I want to give us an example, a reading from, I'm currently reading a book by a gentleman by the name of Trent Shelton. The book title is The Greatest You. Shout out to you, Trent. He's a former NFL wide receiver. And when he talks about our struggles or our shortfalls or our, things that we fall short in, one of the things that he says on page 51, and here's the other important thing to remember about owning your struggles. Everybody struggles. There isn't a single person out there who doesn't have things in their life they wish had turned out differently, or events that went badly, or traits that have created problems for them. I will go as far as to say that there are very few people walking around who don't have at least one thing happening in their lives right now that they wish they could change. Some of these people may be way better at hiding it than others, but they're all carrying around something. The fact that you're dealing with some stuff doesn't make you an exception. It makes you part of the overwhelming majority. The next time you're out in public, look at the people around you and imagine what's going on in their heads. We're all feeling bad about something in some way. So you don't have to be perfect for imperfect people. And others shouldn't expect you to be perfect because they all have their own imperfections to deal with. If you're dedicating a lot of time and energy to hiding from the reality of your imperfections, you're using up your precious time and energy that could be put to better use. You're worrying about being judged, and you're comparing yourself negatively to people who probably have as many bad chapters in their life as you have in yours. Get rid of that tendency, and you'll find that building from the foundation that this plan has provided becomes a lot more realistic. Thank you, Trent. And what I'm saying is, if we focus on the positive, if we focus on the winning, it's inevitable that we get more wins. So here's what I'd like you to stop and do and reflect upon. I'd like you to ask yourself, what am I winning in now? There is something that you're winning in. And it's going to be different for each of us because we're all at different stages and places in our life. But what are you winning in? Write that down somewhere. What am I winning in? You can also reword it in saying, what can I do? What can I do to win, to get me to that winning spot? What do I have control of? That's another way of looking to go for the slam dunk, for the win. Or what can I focus on to further win? That's another way of saying it. But again, what am I winning in right now? You are winning in something. The fact that you're alive, that you're listening, that you're breathing, you are winning. You are winning. I would like you to focus in on what it is that you're winning in. And by doing that, by you keeping track of what you accomplished or what you did, you'll have an opportunity to be able to see the magnitude of the winning focus. Here's what I'd like us to do. We know we can't walk away without some kind of activity, right? Some kind of way to try to keep our growth. So let's keep track of what you accomplished today. So what I would encourage you to do tonight, and if you can't do it tonight, then do it tomorrow morning. There's two ways you can look at it. But if you can, get a little notepad next to your bedside with a pen, or type it into your phone, however you take notes. And you want to write down, keep track of what you accomplished today and reflect on that and celebrate that. And it could be something minor, like I gave the example of making a home cooked meal. It could be on the relational side is I connected with an old friend. Or on the relational side, I listened to a friend. On the spiritual side is I volunteered at my church. I joined the church worship group. On the mental side is I took a little time for myself today. I took a walk for myself. I did breathing exercises. Whatever it may be, a transactional, what did you do to accomplish a goal today, business-wise, career-wise? Whatever it may be for you, write the goal down. And it could be something so small and silly as I went to work today, even though I didn't want to, right? That's a win. You're going to get a paycheck, and you're not going to lose your job, right? That's a win. But if I focus on the win, it's going to give me the momentum to keep going forward. So you can do that at night. First, write down, keep track of what you've accomplished. And what you will see and what you will find is that as you reflect back, you'll realize the momentum that it creates when you do focus on a win, because it gives you the confidence to continue to acknowledge and celebrate your strengths and your achievements. The other thing you can do is in the morning, and it's another way to approach it if you can't do this at night, but it's the same activity, what's reflecting on the day before. It's the same thing, write them down, but it's much easier to feel like you're going to win the day when you start with some winning. So some of the things that you can do as well is in the very beginning of your day before it gets started, do something that you're going to win in. And I see this a lot of times, especially with moms. I know a lot of people that they get up early and they clean the house. That's a win for them, because it sets the precedent for the day of starting on a win. I don't have to worry about that. I feel accomplished. It's going to give me the momentum to continue to do laundry, or continue to do whatever it is that I have to do, at my job or what have you. But same thing, a lot of people will get up and they'll read and they'll meditate and they'll focus on that win because they have the power to control and set the precedent for the day. Or they'll take that time to go straight to the gym, right? Because it's a win. It creates a positive movement and feeling. So we're going to keep track of what we accomplished each day. That's our first step. And the second step is we're going to take a moment to reflect and recognize. And secondly, we're going to take a moment to reflect and recognize what we won at that day. So again, focusing on your win help you boost your self-confidence. It helps you promote a positive mindset. It increases your motivation. Getting those wins increases your motivation. It builds resilience. It enhances your mental health. It cultivates gratitude within yourself that you got things done. You have a sense of accomplishment. It strengthens your relationships, right? Depending on if we're winning in relational or, other areas of our life. But not only that, by us getting wins, it also helps us inspire others. Guys, the fact that you're listening to this podcast today tells me that you are a winner. I'm so excited to hear what you're winning in. I don't care how small you think it is, because it's not. Message me. Let me know. I want to hear what your wins are. Focus on your wins. You are a winner. Let's keep winning. Until next time, keep sparking that radiance.
You hear that clap? That's me cheering you on for completing another episode. I don't know about you, but man, that was quick. If you like what you heard, hit the subscribe button or share the episode with someone you think that might need a little spark. And help us grow by leaving a review. Remember, keep sparking that radiance from within. Until next time, shine on!